Hello everyone and welcome back. With you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Cointelegraph. The Senate votes January 15th on the Clarity Act, a crypto rulebook aimed at killing fake volume, wash trades, and shady reserves. So this will end the price manipulation. But are they going to get it done? I'm expecting the market to pump into this and then most likely sell off right after the news drops on the 15th. It's going to be another volatile week for XRP is what I'm telling you. But I showed you this clip in a video, and I'm going to show it to you again really quick. Take a listen.
It's who is behind Ripple and why are they able to literally say that we're going to create a new, because they've said we're going to create a new world currency. It's been mentioned from time to time, or we're going to have the liquidity of a G20 nation and work with all the central banks and the IMF and not be stopped, because they're essentially saying that we're going to either complement the US dollar as a global reserve currency or we're going to replace it. What people need to understand here is what they're doing is it's the new digital Bretton Woods.
So why does Ripple get away with saying all those things? Why does Ripple get away with challenging Swift? I'm going to show you why that's happening in this video. And it starts right here. This year, World Economic Forum will take place in Davos, Switzerland, from the 19th to the 23rd of January. The theme is a spirited dialogue, and this will focus on cooperation, sustainable growth, technological innovation, and the responsible adoption of AI. This is where all the world's elite gather one time a year, and Ripple is always there. But let's get back to the World Economic Forum. The current interim leadership of the World Economic Forum, which meets in Davos in January, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, and the vice president of the largest pharmaceutical conglomerate as well, Andre Hoffman. That's who's running the World Economic Forum. Everybody's wondering, why does BlackRock not file for an XRP spot ETF? Because this is so much bigger. What's going on behind the scenes is way bigger than a spot ETF. And remember this picture right here where Brad always got a seat at the table and you see the IMF there, the World Bank, and so on? Well, you see Christine Lagarde, member of the World Economic Forum, Kristalina Georgieva from the IMF, member of the World Economic Forum, AJ Banga, president of the World Bank, also a member of the World Economic Forum, Brad Garlinghouse, member of the World Economic Forum, Chris Larson, member of the World Economic Forum. And I can continue to go on and make the ties from the World Economic Forum to Ripple, to BlackRock, to every other major company out there right now, Franklin Templeton, and so on. It's a big club, and you're not in it. The good news is you can invest in it by buying XRP. Because this is what they're all banking on. And this goes way back before 2020 and the Great Reset when they were talking about that. It goes way back to 1988. That's when we got the patent for blockchain. And what else happened that year was BlackRock was formed as well. I still believe BlackRock is nothing but an elite shell company, and it's just gathering tons and tons of money into that company. But this is why Ripple can say those things. And that's also why Brad gets a seat with the president as well. And remember, Brad and Stu were meeting with the president before he was even the president again. back in the summer of 2024. And shortly after, they made that shift towards a stablecoin, away from a central bank digital currency towards a stablecoin. I believe that's why we now have RLUSD. I still think RLUSD is going to rise as the digital dollar. I think XRP is going to be the world's bridge currency, and RLUSD will serve as the US digital dollar. But here's their grand plan. Here's Chris Larson talking about replacing SWIFT. Take a listen.
Rather than being an internet system. So we need that internet of value to be developed. And that's what we spend our time working on, is a replacement for SWIFT and correspondent banking. How do you get all of the payment providers, all of the wallets onto ILP? And then how do you use XRP as on-demand liquidity so that all of these providers don't have to keep balances all over the world because the process is so inefficient.
So he just talked about replacing SWIFT and unlocking the Nostro Vostro accounts and utilizing XRP for its on-demand liquidity. Now, normally, if you were to say something like that, the banks, they would do whatever they could to stop you from even being a possible alternative to SWIFT. But yet Ripple is allowed to speak openly like this because of the ties that Ripple has. The World Bank, the IMF, the ECB, other central banks. Look at the ties to SBI in Japan. And that goes deep. That goes in with the Rothschilds. I mean, Ripple is an elite company. It's a global elite company. But let's get back to BlackRock. BlackRock and Ripple partner Securitize says, welcome to 2026, the year of tokenization. So we already know that Ripple is partnered with Securitize, and also Securitize is a partner of BlackRock. Now, here's also why I don't think there's going to be a BlackRock spot XRP ETF. Because it comes down to tokenization. Take a listen to Robbie Mitchnick here. Now, Robbie Mitchnick used to work at Ripple. I think Ripple deployed him over to BlackRock to get certain things put in place. Take a listen.
It's all about taking the generalized value prop of tokenization, which has lots of exciting things, right? 24/7, real-time settlement, digitally native, global, interoperable, programmable, and saying, how do we deploy that in a given asset class in a way that creates material new value or utility for investors? And so in the case of BUIDL and in general, in the case of money market funds, tokenizing them has broken the paradigm that previously existed that forced you to choose between capturing full yield on your US dollar savings and having full liquidity. For the first time, you could hold US dollars in a tokenized money market fund. And then as soon as you needed liquidity to make a payment or settle a trade, et cetera, you could convert that to a stablecoin. And that, I think, is a really powerful value proposition. That's why this asset class, far and above any others to date, has seen real growth and adoption in tokenization. So now the question is, where do we go next? And a lot of it is going to stay in this category, right? Because there's lots more to do to be able to open up access and serve more and more clients and investors. But also it's about figuring out what are the, second and third, next most viable asset classes where you can use tokenization to drive real utility, to expand access, to create an incrementally distinctive level of value for users of that.
And that's what it comes down to, is tokenization. Take notice, he said you can convert it into stable coins. Now, you're still going to need a bridge for those stable coins. Every single stable coin that is created is going to need a bridge because other people don't want other people's stable coins. It's just like JP Morgan coin. Bank of America doesn't want JP Morgan coin. They want to create their own coin. So that's why you will always need something like XRP in the middle. Goes in as JP Morgan coin into XRP, comes out as Bank of America coin. Same thing with tokenized assets. People are going to cash them out into a stable coin. But that stable coin might be going somewhere where that person doesn't want that stable coin. Maybe they want a different stable coin. You would once again need a bridge currency. This is why XRP is the perfect cryptocurrency. The Athey and Michnik research calculator puts XRP at an ambitious $771 price if the crypto asset can capture 20% of the $50 trillion of XRP ledger volume projected by the CEO of Archax. So if XRP was utilized to move just 20% of the 50 trillion that Archax wants to bring on board the XRP ledger, we are looking at a $771 price for XRP. And that's just Archax. Now, you got to remember, other companies are going to be tokenizing assets on the XRP ledger as well. The World Economic Forum says it's going to be an $867 trillion market by 2030. I think we are going to see XRP already well above 4 digits by most likely 2028. I still think it could happen sometime in 2027. It all starts with tokenization, because once this gets momentum, nothing is going to slow it down. And remember, the Robbie Michnik model from back in 2018, you can find it right here. Unbankedfreedom.com, tools and a calculator. So the one thing about this calculator that they created, it has a default, which is right here. And people always talked about the default price for XRP being at $1,632.35. I remember back in 2018, everybody wondered why the price was set that at that specific number. Because remember, this is all part of being XRP being utilized to bank the unbanked. And that's what the calculator came up with. And you could go and look at that calculator right now and just hit calculate. Don't even change any of the numbers, and it will give you that price every time. So people speculated back then that Robbie Michnik was giving us a hint on where XRP would be going in the near future. And you see the years right here, 3 to 5 years. We're already right around the 5-year mark. So are we at the point where XRP is going to come out of the banks are going to come out of the testing phase? XRP is going to start to go live on all those Ripple rails. It also talks about Swift's payments also, where Ripple captures a portion of Swift's business as well. But I know this. Ripple gets away with saying the things that they say because of the ties that Ripple has. And it goes back to the World Economic Forum. Now, the names there that I showed you, those are not the true elites. The elites, we don't even know who they are. You think Elon Musk is rich? There's people out there that we have never even heard of before that have way more money and way more power than Elon Musk. Same thing with the World Economic Forum. These are the people that are out there creating the framework and the infrastructure and everything that's coming together. But the real string pullers are the people that we don't even know about. But that's why Ripple always gets a seat at the table, and Ripple can go on to replace Swift at some point in the future. I think that's going to happen because I think it was meant to happen a long time ago. I got a little bit off track there at the end. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.